And it is time to get started. Hey, welcome to AtTheTrack.live. My name is Coach James. I am the creator and lead instructor for All About Aerodynamics. What is All About Aerodynamics? Glad you asked. Even if you didn't ask, All About Aerodynamics is a science program where I use Hot Wheels to teach kindergarten through 6th grade students about physics, about aerodynamics, about drag, about lift, about Isaac Newton and his 3 laws of motion, about kinetic energy, about potential energy, about elastic energy, about elastic force, a whole range of topics, including the scientific method. And once I've taught them all the science, and once we've had all the lessons and conducted various experiments, then I bring in about 400 different Hot Wheels cars, and each student has the opportunity to pick a car they think would be fastest in a series of races based on everything that they have learned in the science portion of the program. They pick their cars, they examine their cars, they document everything about their cars, and then once we have done all of that, they catalog information about their cars, put it into a spreadsheet. We've got all the information. Then it's time to actually set up a track and race the cars. They do that, and they are able to observe how their cars perform. Did their cars perform up to or below their expectations? And based on the results, would they select that car again? Or, having observed how the cars performed, would they choose a different car? So, it is a great program. It's a lot of fun. If you want more information about it, you can visit our website, aaerodynamics.com, or you can follow us. There we go. You can follow us on Instagram, and all of the links are in the bio. Same thing, AA Aerodynamics on Instagram. And you can get the links to our YouTube channel, which you probably don't need because you're probably already here, or the link to our Twitch stream, which again you may not need because you're already here. But you will also find I cut to the actual track. We're not there yet. We will get there. But one thing you can do is you can go to AtTheTrack.live, and you will have 3 options. You will have an option to find the YouTube stream, which again you don't need, the Twitch stream. But the third option is choose a car. And with that third option, if you select that, you will be taken to this page. And on this page, you are going to see a list of all the cars that are currently in the All About Aerodynamics at the Track Live fleet. And they are numbered, there are pictures, you can click on them, and you can see a close-up view if that's what you are so inclined to do. And take a look at the car. In this case, we've got a 32 Ford. And you'll notice that there is a number. There's a number there, 102 in the case of this Ford. And I believe right now we are at, let me see exactly how many cars are currently in the fleet. There are 645 cars in the All About Aerodynamics at the Track Live fleet. And as a result, you have the opportunity to check out 645 cars. But the question is, why would you do that? Well, I'm going to tell you. The reason why you would do that is because if you find a car that you think is going to be pretty fast, then all you have to do is take the number of the car. In this case, let's say you think number 353, this custom auto. You click on it, you look at it, you check it out, and you say, you know what, that looks like a fast car for whatever reasons you may have. You select that car, you look at the number, in this case 353, you take that number and then you drop it into the chat. Why would you drop it into the chat? Well, you are going to drop it into the chat because at the Track Live, what is going to happen is I am going to pull out 6 cars that I have in storage, crack those open, take a look at those, enter information into the spreadsheet, and then I am going to set up, well, the track is already set up, so why let the good track go to waste? We're going to have a mini tournament with the 6 cars that I introduced that are going to be new cars added to the fleet. But if you pick a car and you drop the number of that car into the chat, I will pull that car and we will add it to the mix of the tournament. And we will see if the car that you pick is faster than the 6 cars that I have introduced into the fleet. And if by chance your car is faster than those other 6 cars, you will have the opportunity to take on our champion. The fastest in fleet car, that's what we call the champion around here. And as of right now, the fastest in fleet car is this one. It is the Draftnator. And the Draftnator has been the fastest car in the All About Aerodynamics at the Track Live fleet for the past, really about the past month. I know there were a couple of weeks that we skipped, that I was out of town, but for the most part, the Draftnator has been the champion for a good solid month at least, and the races that it's had have not been all that close. The Draftnator has been a pretty definitive champion, and we haven't seen really a run like this, probably I would say this year. There was the end of last year, we had, I think it was a BMW that was doing pretty well, but it was beaten out, and the Draftnator for the last month has been the fastest car in the fleet. So if you think that you can find a car that is faster than the Draftnator, then all you have to do is go to AtTheTrack.live, select choose a car, and you can scroll down, find the car that you want to pick, and that will be the car that gets entered into the race. Let's get a little bit more light on the champion here. There we go. Okay, so that is the Draftnator. This is At The Track Live. I am Coach James, and I have 6 cars waiting to be introduced into the fleet. So let's go ahead and see which one will be first. As I mentioned last week, I went to Georgia for Mother's Day weekend, and I left on a Friday and came back on a Saturday, which is why there were 2 weeks that there were no At The Track Live episodes. But while I was out there, I, of course, hunted for some Hot Wheels and found some, and I still have a few of those left over from the Georgia trip, and then a few more that I pulled out of storage. So let's go ahead and see which car will be first. Let's see. Let's go with, we'll go with a fantasy car first. And this is the Buzz Lightyear XL-01 car. And this is from the Lightyear movie. I guess I didn't see it. The Buzz Lightyear movie. And it's funny because there is another Buzz Lightyear car in the fleet. And it is, let's see. I think it is, I'm pretty sure there's one. And this is why it's great to have this spreadsheet that I keep with information on all the cars. It doesn't just help me keep track of the cars that students are using, but it helps me find duplicate cars. So Buzz Lightyear is car number 208. So why don't we just go on over to this page, and we can find car number 208. I'll just scroll down. Okay, and here it is, the Buzz Lightyear car. So this one is much more clearly inspired by the Toy Story movie and the appearance of the Buzz Lightyear character in that movie, whereas this one is based on that more recent movie and doesn't look as cartoony. It's definitely a fantasy car, but it's not quite as cartoony as that Buzz Lightyear car. So let's go ahead and I'll crack this open. We'll take a closer look. Oh, interesting. I'm looking on the back, and it turns out that there is another version you can kind of see here, right there. The Space Ranger Alpha Buzz Lightyear, and that one is definitely, it has the green and white designs similar to the original Buzz Lightyear characters. So, all right, but this is the one we have. Let's crack this one open. All right, this is the Buzz Lightyear XL-01. Let's get it over here. Move the Draftnator aside and take a look at this one. All right, so here we have the Buzz Lightyear. Let's go ahead and I'll shoot the video first. Lock this in. And again, I shoot the video of the car because there is an online version of All About Aerodynamics, and of course with the online version the students don't have the opportunity to see the cars in person, so this is the next best thing, and it gives them a chance to really look over the car and help them make a more informed decision. So this is car number 646. This is the Buzz Lightyear XL-01. XL-01. And even though it's, you know, a character car, a fantasy car, I always look at the back end of the car to see if it's got a flat back end. Cars with a flatter back end tend to do better. They get better launches and pushes out of the launcher on our track. It's something I will bring up again later. So once we've got that, okay, we've got the video. Then I also am going to need a still picture right there. And stop the turntable. Get this thing turned. I like a nice 3/4 view. So that the students can get an idea of both the front and the back ends of the car. And let me just a little. Centered up just a little more, and I think that's pretty good. that will do. And there we have it. The Buzz Lightyear XL-01 has been added to the fleet. And I can show you, maybe on this card, this is, hang on, that is the other Buzz Lightyear car. And I haven't seen that one. It kind of, I don't know, like a lot of the fantasy cars, it has elements that I recognize from different Hot Wheels cars, but I don't have that one, so I might have to look that one. I'm saying I don't have it, but this is the problem, is that I've got so many cars in storage that I often forget which ones I actually do have. So before I go hunting around for Space Ranger Alpha Buzz Lightyear car, I need to take a look into the storage. So, but I kind of like the look of that, so that might be a car that gets introduced into the fleet at a later date. This shirt is just not cooperating today, but hey, that's not why we're here. We are here to check out Hot Wheels. So we have the Buzz Lightyear XL-01 Alpha car, and it's a good looking little fantasy car. And we will sit that right. Actually, I guess let me check the weight. And the Buzz Lightyear car weighs in at 35.3 grams. And just for the sake of comparison, the Draftnator comes in at 32.4. So it's not, so the Draftnator is, it's not particularly light, but it's not heavy either. It's right in that range. Cars in that 32 and a half to 34, like right in there. That's kind of the sweet spot. When you start getting above 40, then it's really heavy. I think we had the GTO station wagon last week that was, I believe it was like 52 grams, maybe more, but it was definitely the heaviest car that I recall having on the track, and it performed in the way that a heavy car would be expected to, which is not well. Okay, next up, let's see. We've got, usually I like to kind of mix it up with the fantasy cars and the real cars, and I guess we do have that balance and that mix. But next up, let's take a look at, we'll go with this one. This is going to be interesting because this is the Bon Voyage. And the reason why I say it's interesting is because it's got the faster than ever wheels. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that with the faster than ever wheels, with the gold Hot Ones wheels, the axle on the cars is like nickel plated, which reduces the friction and allows the wheels to spin faster. So we've had faster than ever cars before. There was a viewer who suggested there was a Cadillac that he wanted to see race, and so I ordered two of them, and one had the faster than ever wheels, one had the standard wheels, and I believe the one with the faster than ever wheels did better than the one with the standard wheels, but it still wasn't able to beat whichever car was our fastest in fleet at the time. So it's always interesting to see if the faster than ever wheels, how much of a difference do they actually make. So let's crack this open, take a look. Okay, the Bon Voyage. What year is this? This is, the package says 2006. I don't see any markings on the bottom of the car, so this is one that I am definitely going to have to look up because the packaging doesn't necessarily always correspond with what is on the car. So first thing that I'm noticing is this car is all metal. So let me just check the weight right up front. It's all metal, but it's got a different, the way it's put together, it's not, well, you'll see. Okay, so it weighs 34.4 grams, which puts it right there with the other two cars. So let me get it lined up here, and now we can take a look. So here we have the Voyage. And matter of fact, I forgot to check the year on the Buzz Lightyear car, 2021. So I can enter that here. And now we're at the Voyage. And let's go ahead and might as well get the still picture first. And it's interesting. It's a metal, all metal construction, but then it's got that plastic shield portion. This part right here is just a plastic, I don't know what it's supposed to be. I suppose if there was the driver, it protects the driver somehow, but it's got a strange angle. Nevertheless, this is the Voyage. Let me get the still picture. Got that. And now we just need some video. Lock in the focus. And start the video of the Voyage. And when you look at it, see how the areas on the side of the main part of the body are open. And that that definitely accounts for why the car weighs what it weighs. But now I'm looking at the back, and this doesn't seem like this is going to bode well for this car. It's got that kind of fin sticking out of the back, and as it comes around, you're going to see that it's really thin, and that is going to be the only, and it's at an angle. So the point of that fin is going to be the only part of this car that is touching the launcher, the launching block that pushes the cars out. That is not a good sign. You'll see it as it comes around. The point on that fin in the back, that's the only point of contact. And cars that don't have wide and solid points of contact with the launching block tend to drift to one side or the other. I don't know if that's going to happen with this car. Maybe the weight will help keep it in place, but I would not be surprised at all if this car gets horrible launches, just because there isn't much surface area that's going to be touching the launching block. And historically speaking, it hasn't gone well for cars that are have this type of design. So we will see, because that ultimately is what we have to do. We have to take the cars to the track, and it's one of the things I explain to the students. Like, you can have an idea, a hypothesis about how the race will go, about how the car will perform based on what you've observed in the past, what you see currently, but we really never know. And then after we get the results, maybe the Voyage does extraordinarily well. Or maybe it crashes twice and gets disqualified. I don't know. That's the excitement. You never know. Okay, so we've got the Voyage. We have the Buzz Lightyear car. So we've got two fantasy cars. So let's go with an actual car this time. This one I just picked up recently, and this is part of the Hot Wheels Vintage Racing Club collection. And this is it right here. This is the 1971 Lamborghini Miura SV. And it's funny because it has, when I first saw it on the shelf at the store, I just glanced at it and I thought it was a Corvette. It has a very much a kind of Corvette, Jaguar-y type feel, but it is in fact a Lamborghini, and it's a Lamborghini before Lamborghinis took on the sort of look that we associate with Lamborghinis now, that we've pretty much had since the 80s. So let me crack this open and we'll take a look at it. All right, let's check the we'll check the weight, since we've done that with the other cars. At some point I will get a camera on the scale, but that point is not going to be today. And the Lamborghini Miura comes in at 29.6 grams. So we've got that. Let me get it up here on the turntable. And let's take a closer look at the Lamborghini Miura. And I will just take the video first and enter the information into the spreadsheet. This is car number 648. The Lamborghini Miura. Oh, I forgot. 1971. 1971. Lamborghini. Oh, Miura. I might not even be pronouncing that correctly. M-I-U-R-A, Miura. Perhaps. SV. And I didn't get the year off of there yet, but let's take a look. So, again, first place I always look is the back end of the car. This one's flat, so it should press up nicely against the launching block. It's not too heavy. It doesn't seem to be particularly narrow. It's not wide. Wider cars tend to do better, but this one may have a shot. It may be quick. I guess it is narrow. As it comes around, you'll see that it's a little narrower in the front and kind of flares out in the back. But that's not going to be too much of a problem. Let's get the picture and zoom in. And let's see. Right about there. Focus locked in. And there we go. The Lamborghini Miura is entered into the fleet. Let me check the year on this one. The year is 2017. Oh, and hold on. We've got the little symbol right there, the best for track. You see it right there beneath the Hot Wheels logo. And the reason why I point that out is because the current fastest in fleet car, the Draftnator, has that same symbol. And on one hand, I figure it's just a marketing gimmick, but the Draftnator has been pretty dominant. We've had some of those other best for track cars in the past, but obviously they haven't been as dominant as the Draftnator. So we'll keep an eye on that and see if the best on track, best for track, if that means something. Maybe if it comes down to the Draftnator and that Lamborghini, both with the best for track designations, I think I'm going to have to start looking a little more closely into that and see if there's something to it. It's usually the fantasy cars that I've seen that have the best for track designation. So, and maybe it's just that there's some that I'm not remembering, but this is one of the few that I can remember to have that designation and be modeled after an actual car. So keep that in mind and see what happens once we get to the track. All right, next up is going to be another fantasy car. And this one is one that I've seen a version of this car before, but this just happens to be a character car. And it is the Circle Tracker, but this is the Spider-Girl version. And I'm not enough of a comic book aficionado to know anything about the character of Spider-Girl. I can presume, but I don't know much about her. But I know that she's got a Hot Wheels car. It's the Circle Tracker. We're going to crack it open. Take a look. Let me see if this one's got a best for track designation. Nope. All right. Okay. The Circle Tracker. It's a good looking car. Has a kind of a very Camaro-y feel to it. I'm making up a lot of words today. Jaguar-ish. I think I said Jaguar-y, Camaro-y. Either way, you get the idea. This is the Circle Tracker. I'm locking the focus. And go ahead and get that picture. Pretty good. Okay. And let's get a little bit of video. As it comes around. And so this one, it doesn't seem to be particularly unique. It's just, it just looks like a stand. I wouldn't be surprised if this one does well. I didn't check the weight on it. The back end, fairly flat. It's got a bit of a curve down by the bumper, and I can't tell if that wing sticks out further than the bumper or if it's even. If it's even, that would be pretty good, because that means the bumper and that wing are both going to press up against the launching block, and this one should perform pretty well. So car 649. This is the Circle Tracker. And when I brought this one up last week, I thought I had one already in the fleet, because it's just a standard Hot Wheels car that you see in different color combinations. But the one that I had was actually called the Circle Trucker, and it is a truck, but it is also, I presume, making a lot of presumptions today. I presume that the circle in the Circle Tracker suggests that it's modeled after like a NASCAR, the circle referring to a track. So does that mean that it's going to perform particularly well on the track? I don't know. They didn't give it the little seal of approval with the best for track logo and emblem on the bottom, so who knows. Let me check the year on this one. The year is 2008. So we've got the Circle Tracker 2008. Okay, that one's entered in, and we are moving right along at a good pace. We're up to car number 650, and I've mentioned before how I don't like having duplicate cars in the fleet, and that is just something I really try to avoid. And I've talked about having head-to-head matchups and races to determine which car gets to stay and which car has to leave, and that hasn't happened yet. So I usually, if I find out that I have duplicate cars, I just set them aside, because if I have a duplicate car, there's a reason why I bought both cars. And usually they look different. There's a different paint scheme and paint job. I rarely buy the exact same car. So if I had a blue 64 Chevelle, I probably, if I saw that car again, wouldn't buy another blue 64 Chevelle. I would, but if there was maybe a purple one with yellow stripes, I might buy that one because I just am attracted to that particular car, pick it up and bring it back, and then later on find out I bought the same car. Well, when I was in Georgia and I was at the Walmart, the fully stocked Walmart in Canton, Georgia, this car, and you can't really see it because it's green and there's a green screen, but I guess you're going to have to use your imagination. There's a car here. You can see the outline and the shape, and it is a 70 Toyota Celica. And I'll put it on the other screen so you can actually see what it looks like. It is this one, the 70 Toyota Celica. And it is part of the Neon Speeders series, which the cars have this neon, wild neon theme, colored, inspired paint jobs. Well, I got that one, and it was cool. I liked it. I sort of liked the shape of the car and the design. Well, I also have this one that I picked up, which is, again, it's another green one. It's not as green, but it's green enough to get picked up by the green screen. So let me move it over here. This is the 70 Toyota Celica. Same car, much, much, much better paint job. This one, instead of the neon green, it's got a metal flake, very light kind of aqua green color, and gold wheels. It's got the striping down the side, which I like. And so usually I would take these two cars and I would set them aside and I would save them for the head-to-head matchup of which car gets to stay and which car has to go. But these cars are not comparable. When I put them side by side, there's no question which one I like better and which one I am going to keep. So the Neon Speeders version is going into the prize bin, and some student who answers a question or participates in the class and does a good job or wins a race will have the opportunity to select the Neon Speeder car as their prize. But that is not going to be what happens today. Today, the 70 Toyota Celica is the car that is going into the fleet. So let's crack this open and take a closer look at this really good looking car. Let's get this up on the turntable and let's take a closer look at this one. 70 Toyota Celica. And this one, yeah, the paint job is just better It's all around, it's just a better looking version of this car than the other. So 650. This is the 1970 Toyota Celica. And this is probably going to be the lightest car, although the next car might be lighter. But this is a pretty small car, and small cars have been a little hit or miss on the track. We've had some that have been very fast, but we haven't had any fastest in fleet cars that have been particularly small. So, but by the same token, large cars, as indicated by that, evidenced by that GTO last week, that GTO wagon, larger cars haven't necessarily fared so well. It's usually that kind of mid-range car, which is why that Lamborghini may have an opportunity to do something. But let's stop this. Let me get the still photo. And in a bit. Okay. Let's get the focus right. Okay. And that looks pretty good. All right. And there we go. All right. So now we've got the 1970 Toyota Celica. Let me actually check the year on this thing. 2012. Oh, and I'll check the weight. This car weighs in at 30.8 grams, so it's actually not. Didn't we have? Well, no, that might be the lightest one for today. Yeah, so 30.8 grams. So it's the lightest one so far, and we have one more to go. Just double checking something. Okay, so car number 651, our last entrant of the day, is going to be a Matchbox car, which is something that there are some Matchbox cars in the fleet. There aren't a lot of Matchbox cars in there, but there are some. Most of them are cars that I had when I was a kid that were Matchbox cars. And there have been a few that I have picked up recently just because I like the car. There's that, I think it was an 80, maybe 82 Ford F-150. It was the one with the powder blue and white. I like that one, so picked it up. It didn't do all that well on the track, but it's a good looking truck. And this car I picked up not because I thought it was a good looking car, for the opposite reason. Because it was one of the ugliest cars that I've seen. And it was apparently a real car. The 1992 Mazda Autozam AZ-1. And I hope there was no AZ-2 because this thing is horrendous. And it was just so ugly. It was one of those things that it was so ugly and so weird looking that I had to buy it. And it would be just my luck to find out that this car is really fast, but we'll find that out. So let's crack this open and take a look. The 1992 Mazda Autozam AZ-1. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at this little monstrosity. And here we go. Autozam AZ-1. Ugh. I can't look away. Okay. Got that car, got it locked in. Okay. So we've got the Autozam. And let's get the video, of course. And lock that focus in, and it is time to enter car number 651, the 1992 Mazda. Well, I'm looking at the back, and the back end is flat, so that's a positive sign. It's I don't know what they were trying to make. It's like a Fiero slash, I don't know, like it seems like they took ideas from lots of cars that were popular and tried to cram it into this little miniature two-door coupe, and the stance, the shape, the back window, there's nothing about this that I'm finding appealing. I don't know what they were thinking. The Autozam AZ-1. And I haven't looked this one up, but I'm really hoping that they only made one of these, and then they threw away the mold, the cast, the everything, the blueprints, the plans, throw the whole thing out. That car is hideous. So let me check the year on this one. The year is 2022. So I am just making a note, and the reason why I keep the years, or the year that's stamped on the bottom of the car, is because it's just one more piece of documentation that helps the students keep track of the cars as we are moving them around, and they have to enter information into their own spreadsheets. It just is one more piece of documentation that they can find on the bottom of the car to ensure that they do in fact have the correct car. So we have our 6 cars. We have the Buzz Lightyear car from the more recent Buzz Lightyear movie, or I guess the only Buzz Lightyear movie. The others were Toy Story movies. We have the Bon Voyage, which is the metal car with the faster than ever wheels. Oh, so that's another thing that I forgot about that. So we have a car with the faster than ever wheels. So will that make a difference? But it does have that thin fin in the back, so it's not going to get a good point of contact. And I doubt it's going to get a really good launch when it races, but we'll find out. We've got the Lamborghini Miura, I think that's what it was. Yeah, the 71 Lamborghini Miura. We have the Circle Tracker with the Best for Track emblem on the bottom, same as the Draftnator, our fastest in fleet cars. So will that make a difference? Will that matter? I don't know. Time will tell, and the time is coming up pretty quickly. What else? We have the 70 Toyota Celica, and that is a good-looking car. It is our... Oh, wait. I didn't weigh the Autozam because it feels pretty light. I'm guessing it's going to be in the 20s. Yep, 27.9 grams. So the Autozam is our lightest car, and the Celica is the second lightest car. So we have two small cars. We have the Circle Tracker and that Lamborghini, which are kind of mid-sized cars, and the Buzz Lightyear car, it's about the same as the Lamborghini. And then, of course, we have the Voyage with the faster than ever wheels. So we are all set up to take these cars to the track. If this is your first time viewing all about aerodynamics and AtTheTrack.live, then let me show you what you are about to see. And here it is. When we go to the track, there will be a 3-camera view, and that 3-camera view will consist of our start line camera on the far left, the middle section of our track in the middle, and the finish line camera on the far right. So at the beginning of the races, the cars will start at the top of the first camera on the left, the first screen, and I will give a countdown, 3, 2, 1, race, and then the cars will be released from the launcher. They'll come firing out. They'll come racing towards the bottom of the first screen. After they pass out of the bottom of the first screen, you can pick them up at the top of the middle screen. They will come flying down from top to bottom. After they pass out of the bottom of the middle screen, you can pick them up at the top of the finish line camera screen, which is on the far right. The cars will come from top to bottom, cross the finish line, and the winning car will be indicated by a solid red light. A solid red light indicates the winning car, and a flashing red light indicates the losing car. Now, we do have some rules for our track. All of the races are best 2 out of 3. The cars will switch lanes after each race, and if a car happens to crash, the race is restarted. If a car crashes a second time, then that car is disqualified, because if a car crashes twice consecutively, there's usually, and it crashes in the same way, there's usually something with the car and or the launch it's getting that causes it to crash. Excuse me. And rerunning the races is not going to change whatever that problem is with the car and as it pertains to the launcher. So 2 consecutive crashes, car is eliminated. Now if a car crashes once, comes back, we restart the race, and the other car crashes, then it kind of resets, because again, you have to crash twice consecutively to be eliminated. And we did have that scenario last week, but it was a car that really wasn't likely to be in the running for the championship, so it didn't matter all that much. But we are all set up and ready to go. We've got our 6 cars, and now all that's left is to go over and see which of these cars is going to be today's champion. So I will see you over at the track in 30 seconds. Okay, let me just check the sound, make sure everything is okay on this end. And 1, 2, yep, we've got sound, and we've got 6 cars to race, and we've got a defending champion waiting to see which car is going to challenge it for the title. So let's go in this first race. Let's get these cars kind of lined up here. I think first up, let's go with the 2 smaller cars. So we'll go with the Autozam versus the Celica. So let's get those set up and see what happens. Autozam and Celica. All right, we will put the Autozam in lane number 2. And see if it can represent for the Matchbox cars. And we will put the Celica, this good looking Celica, in lane number 1. Okay. So both these cars are lined up. This is the first race of the day. We've got the Autozam in lane 2. We've got the Celica in lane 1. Let's see what happens. 3, 2, 1, race. Woo. And the Celica had no problem beating out the Autozam, although the Autozam got a good start, but I would say by the time the cars got to the first third of the screen, past the first camera, then the Celica pretty much just turned on the juice and took the race. So that was a pretty definitive win, but we will see if the Autozam can pull out a victory as we switch lanes. And let's get these things lined up here. There. Okay. Setting the Autozam up. And I'm looking at the Autozam, and it's interesting. This may have been the reason why I don't recall ever seeing one of these. This may have been a European only car, because I'm looking at the car on the inside, and it's got the steering wheel on the right hand side. So perhaps this never made it to the United States. Either way, the Autozam is going to need to make it across the finish line first in order to force a third race. If it loses, we move on. So here we go. Autozam in lane 1, Celica lane 2, race 2. Three, 2, 1, race. And the Celica took that race too. It seemed to be a little closer from my standpoint, but it was not close enough to matter or to even require checking the lights on the finish line to see which car won. It's pretty clear it was the Celica, so the Celica will be moving on, and we will go with the next race. So let's see. Let's go. We'll go Lamborghini and Circle Tracker. So we'll take this Lamborghini, the one with the fastest or best for track designation on the bottom, and we will see if that means anything. I mean, the Draftnator has it, and the Draftnator has been remarkably fast. We'll get the Lamborghini set up in lane 1. If I can get the car to cooperate. Okay, the Lamborghini is set up in lane 1. Circle Tracker is going to be in lane number 2. Okay. All right, so here we go. Circle Tracker lane 2, Lamborghini in lane 1. Race 1. Here we go. Three, 2, 1, race. Whoa. Okay. The Lamborghini took that race, but just as I was getting ready to release the cars, the Lamborghini started to roll forward, and then I hit the launcher, and the launcher hit it. So that rolling start may have accounted for that extreme margin of victory. So we're going to redo that race just to make sure that the circle tracker or that the Lamborghini didn't get an unfair advantage. So throw out the results of that race, and we will reset. However, I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll see. But that Lamborghini looked extremely fast in that race. But again, it may have gotten a slightly unfair advantage. So we will see this time around if it can replicate that effort. So here we go. Circle tracker lined up once again in lane number 2. Trying to get it pressed up right against the launching block. Okay. Circle tracker lane 2, Lamborghini lane 1. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. And when the cars got a fair race and start, it turns out that the circle tracker took the race. So, circle tracker 1, Lamborghini none. Hang on me. These cars seem to all right. Now we will see. The circle tracker did a pretty outstanding job right there. So we will change lanes. We will get the Lamborghini now in lane number 2. And the circle tracker in lane 1. Trying to get the Lamborghini to stay put. And the circle tracker. Alright. The Spider Girl version of the circle tracker is in lane 1. And the Lamborghini Miura is in lane number 2. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, race. Wow. Okay, so much for the best for track designation and emblem, because the circle tracker blew the doors off the Lamborghini. And that race was not even kind of close. The race before that wasn't close. This one really wasn't close. So we are going to, I'm going to go back to my original stance that the best for track designation is just a marketing gimmick. But the Draftnator may be the exception, trying to prove the rule. So here we go. Let's see. We are down to the Buzz Lightyear car and the Bon Voyage. The Bon Voyage, of course, the all-metal car with that weird clear plastic scoop across the front. But the Bon Voyage car does have the faster-than-ever wheels. So, again, more marketing or something to it? Actually, I know there's something to it, because the faster-than-ever wheels, there is an actual difference in the vehicle. They have the nickel-plated axle, which reduces friction and allows the cars. Let's see what's going on here. Oh yeah. I was trying to figure out why the car wasn't pressing up against the launching block, and then I remembered it's because the Bon Voyage has that weird fin in the back, and so it's only got a little tiny point of contact with the launching block, and I don't see how that is going to help this car out at all. This is not gonna be good. But I don't know. This is why we have to race the cars. I can't see how this is gonna be good, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my observations and presumptions were off. We're gonna find out. I love it. This is how we find out. We don't have to continue to guess. We can take these cars to the track, and in about 10 seconds, we're going to know. So here is race 1. We've got the Bon Voyage in lane 1. We've got the Buzz Lightyear car in lane 2. Let's see what happens. Three, two, one, race. Oh! Bon Voyage, faster than ever wheels, takes the race as indicated by the solid red light, and the that little point at the back of the car didn't seem to hurt it in terms of the kind of launch it got. We will need to see the car race in the second race and possibly a third, and then how it does against other cars before we can come to any conclusions, because it could be that the Buzz Lightyear car is just slow. We don't know. Not enough of a sample size yet, but that first race, the Bon Voyage did very well. Faster than ever wheels. It's not a gimmick, it's a real thing. Well, it is a gimmick, but it's still a real thing. Two things can be true. It can be a gimmick and a real thing. And let's go with this. All right. And then, so the Bon Voyage is in lane 2. Buzz Lightyear is in lane 1. Let's get this turned just a bit. There we go. Buzz Lightyear in lane 1. Okay. Here we go. Race number 2. If the Bon Voyage takes it, Bon Voyage moves on. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. Whew. Okay. Buzz Lightyear made a better push. That was a competitive race, but ultimately the Bon Voyage took it, and it was close. Good race. Good race. Good showing by the Buzz Lightyear car, but it wasn't enough to defeat the Bon Voyage and its faster than ever wheels. So the Bon Voyage moves on with the Circle Tracker and the 70 Celica, and we will now see which car is going to step up and ultimately challenge the Draftnator. So let's go with the Bon Voyage and the Circle Tracker. Circle Tracker seemed pretty fast, so the Bon Voyage seemed pretty fast. Well, now we're going to find out which of these cars is actually fast. Faster, fastest. Bon Voyage is getting set up in lane 1. Circle Tracker is in lane number 2. Cars went in fairly easily, which is always a good thing. All right, so here we go. Bon Voyage lane 1, Circle Tracker lane 2. First race, here we go. Three, two, one, race. And the Bon Voyage decided to crash right out of the gate. So we will set this up again. And it's interesting because before the Bon Voyage's first 2 races, that is actually what I would have thought would have happened with this car because of the weird one point of contact that it has because of that fin in the back. I didn't expect it to get a good launch, but based on those first 2 races, it went down with no problems. But this first race against the Circle Tracker, it ended up crashing. So we'll see. Hopefully it doesn't crash this next time, because that would mean elimination, although we might have to take some things into consideration before we just eliminate the Bon Voyage, because I want to be fair about this whole matter. So okay, lining them up again. Bon Voyage lane 1, Circle Tracker lane 2. Hopefully the Bon Voyage gets a good solid launch, and we can see which of these cars is going to jump out to a 1-0 lead. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. Bon Voyage stayed on the track and took the race. It was close-ish, but we will have to see if switching lanes, if the Circle Tracker can come back. We have, of course, seen cars take 2 races in a row, coming back from a 1-0 deficit, but it all is going to depend on whether or not Circle Tracker can find a way to overcome the faster than ever wheels. So you've got that there, the Circle Tracker lined up, and you now have the Bon Voyage lined up in lane number 2. Circle Tracker lane 1, race number 2. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. This time it's the Circle Tracker that managed to crash, and so we will restart that race. The Bon Voyage went down, no problems, no issues, and the Circle Tracker is over here checking to see if it bumped the camera at all. I don't think it threw it out of line too much. And let me grab the Bon Voyage, and we will restart that race. Now the Circle Tracker, I'm not sure exactly what went wrong on that one, but it crashed further down the track than cars typically do. Usually the cars, if they get a bad launch, they usually hit one of the first of the 2 barricades right here, but that wasn't the case. The Circle Tracker moved down the track a little further than that before it crashed. So we will see how it does. Okay, resetting the cars. Circle Tracker in lane 1, and the Bon Voyage in lane 2. Here we go, race number 2. Three, two, one, race. Oh. Okay, the Circle Tracker has come back and won a race. So now we are going to a third race between the Bon Voyage and the Circle Tracker. And that race was kind of close. And it was about as close as the previous race. But in the previous race, the Bon Voyage took it. So we are coming down to a third and final race. It is going to be the Bon Voyage setting up in lane 1 versus the Circle Tracker, which will be set up in lane 2. And this will determine who goes on to race the Celica in race number, or in the finals. Okay, so here we go again. The Bon Voyage with its narrow point of contact and faster than ever wheels versus the Circle Tracker. Bon Voyage lane 1, Circle Tracker lane 2. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. Circle Tracker comes back, takes that race, and comes back from a 1-0 deficit to take the race. Took 2 in a row and is now moving on to the finals against the Celica. Now, I will say with the hang on, these cars bumped the, let me adjust the finish line. Hang on. Okay, and the cars bumped the track. When they hit the end, they bumped the track, which kind of pushed the sensors for the finish line out of whack. But got those lined up again, and I think what happens with the Bon Voyage is ultimately what I thought would happen, and that is, it's got the faster than ever wheels, and that helps, but that little narrow point of contact against the launcher does not help it. It does not help it at all. And I think that if it comes off, I think it's a toss-up as to whether or not it's going to get a good launch. And if it gets a good launch, then I think it does well. If it gets a poor launch, then it doesn't. And the faster than ever wheels, I think, help cover up some of the problems with the bad launch. But ultimately, the Circle Tracker was simply faster, and it has moved on to the finals against the Celica. So we've got the Circle Tracker in lane 2, and we've got the Celica in lane 1. Let's see what happens. Three, two, one. Circle Tracker, Spider Girl Circle Tracker, took that race and took it with relative ease. And the Circle Tracker is continuing these pretty outstanding performances. And let me just make sure these cars are hitting the end of the track with a lot of force, and it's jolting the finish line and the sensors. But when the results are that clear and definitive, I don't need to go to the finish line lights for any indication as to who is doing the best and which car is winning. So, all right, we're going to switch lanes here. Circle Tracker is now going to go into lane number 1. The Celica, good looking Celica that I picked over the neon speeder version, is in lane 2. So Celica lane 2, Circle Tracker lane 1. This is the finals. If the Circle Tracker takes it, it's today's champion. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. Whew. That race was a lot closer, but the Circle Tracker took it and is today's champion. The Spider Girl Circle Tracker has been dominant ever since losing that first race to the Bon Voyage. The Circle Tracker has not lost since. It's had 4 wins in a row, and now it is poised to challenge the Draftnator. The Draftnator, which has been our fastest in fleet car for the last month, is the Circle Tracker the car that's going to take it down? We are going to find out. So let's get these cars lined up. We'll put the Draftnator in lane number 2. We'll put the Circle Tracker in lane number 1. And we are ready to go. This is for the fastest in fleet title, race number 1. Draftnator, our champion, lane 2. And we've got the Circle Tracker in lane 1. Let's see what happens. 3, 2, 1, race. The Draftnator is just on another level, and it beat the Circle Tracker. I mean, the Circle Tracker had been having some really good runs, great passes, and then the Draftnator comes out and blows its doors, its wheels, its bumpers, its fenders, its hood, its trunk, everything, just blows it off, blows it away. So now, the Circle Tracker is going to have to repeat what it did in the race against the Voyage. It is going to have to come back from down 1-0, which means it's got to win 2 in a row, which, based on the outcome of that last race, is going to be a tall challenge, but hey, it's happened. It just hasn't happened against the Draftnator. So we're lining the Draftnator up, lane number 1. Draftnator's being a little difficult. Draftnator has the best for track emblem, and it's been best on our track. There's no question about that. Trying to get it lined up. It won't stay in position. It's ready to get moving down the track, but you gotta, come on, Draftnator, work with me. All right, Draftnator's lined up. Circle Tracker. Now it's your turn, Circle Tracker. Spider Girl Circle Tracker's lined up. Draftnator's lined up. Here we go, race number 2. This is for the fastest in fleet title. If the Draftnator takes it, Draftnator's still our champ. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, race. Whew. The race was closer, but not close enough. The Draftnator is still our reigning, defending, undisputed champion. So let me collect these cars up, head back to the garage, and we will take a look at our winner. So, once again, it is the Draftnator that has taken the title. Get some more light on the champ. And it is, I mean, these races, it's interesting because the Circle Tracker, after it lost that first race, it came back and it was doing very well. It won 4 races in a row. It looked fast. It looked strong. It was staying straight on the track. It didn't seem to have any issues. But the Draftnator comes out and set the tone in that first race where it beat the Circle Tracker by, I think, from my perspective, I'd have to go back and look at the video, but it looked like it beat it by at least 4 car lengths, maybe more. And so that kind of showed me that even though I think a car is fast, until it goes up against the Draftnator, I can't really tell how fast the car is, because there's every possibility that a car seems fast, but it only seems fast because it's racing slower cars. And so perhaps that Buzz Lightyear car was slower. I definitely know that the little point on the back of the, hang on, let me put it up here. Put them side by side. When you look at the backs of these two cars, let me turn them a bit like that. What you're going to see is that, lighten this up. What you're seeing is that this is the only point of contact that the Bon Voyage had with the launcher, and it's just not good. That's not good enough to get a solid push. And what happens is the car can get pushed out, but it's more likely to drift to one side or the other. When it drifts to one side or the other and it hits the side of the track and rubs up against it, that friction is going to slow the car down. And then Isaac Newton's third law of motion, for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. After it hits the right side, it's going to bounce back over to the left side. And when it hits that left side, it's going to scrape on the left side. And eventually it may straighten out, but the speed and momentum that it loses in having those brushes up against the side of the track, I think ultimately impacts its overall performance and speed. Now, the Draftnator, if you look at that, if I turn it, you see that the back, that's not the best angle. This better? Yeah, that's better. So the Draftnator has this whole entire flat spoiler, if you will, coming up off of the back, but it's flat right here. It's just completely flat, and that presses right up against the back of the launcher, and it's higher. So it's pressing the car forward. It usually gets good solid launches. It stays straight on the track, and it's got the best for track designation, which again, I'm not sure what that means, because the Lamborghini had that same designation and got run off the track by the Circle Tracker. The Circle Tracker came up against the Draftnator, got destroyed. So there's definitely something when if you decide to go to AtTheTrack.live and you decide to go select choose a car and you start scrolling through the choose a car option, then it will be something that you might want to consider and look for, is having a car with a flatter back end, because that is going to usually be one of the it's one of the things that cars that do well have in common. A lot of surface area pressed up against the launching block. So it's just my tip based on my observations of hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands of races. And of course, if you want to, just go to AtTheTrack.live, select choose a car, and there are going to be, after I finish up my cataloging today, there will ultimately be 651 cars listed in the All About Aerodynamics at the Track Live fleet. You can go in, you can find the car that you think would be faster than the Draftnator, and all you have to do is take that number of that car, and next week drop it into the chat, and I will pull that car and we will see. But before you can challenge the Draftnator, you have to beat the other 6 cars that I'm going to introduce next week. And then if you beat the Draftnator, or then if you beat those cars, then you can challenge the Draftnator. You don't just get to jump to the front of the line and challenge the champion. You have to earn that right. But you have 650 different choices, and statistically speaking, there's likely to be a car in this group that is faster than the Draftnator. The problem is no one's found that car yet, and I don't know how long it's going to take to find that car, or if that car will ever be found. Maybe the Draftnator just stays and remains our champion in perpetuity. I don't know, but you have the opportunity to pick. I also have some cars that I am going to be pulling out of storage, bringing them in, and seeing if, hey, perhaps maybe one of those cars can challenge and beat the Draftnator. I don't know. Maybe you know. I don't know. But we had 6 more cars introduced, had some races, had some fun. If you want to keep up with everything that's happening with At The Track Live, All About Aerodynamics, all you have to do is follow us on Instagram at AA Aerodynamics. If you want to see past episodes of At The Track Live and see how some other cars performed, you can go to our YouTube channel, and once you click the live tab, you will see all the episodes listed. And thanks to Race Grooves, I am going back in and I am properly adding the proper time codes to the description that creates the chapter markers. So now as you're watching the video, you can see what each section is about. So if you just want to skip to a particular review, if you want to skip right to the races, whatever you want to do, you'll be able to see that because there are now going to be chapter markers. I will add those for this episode once I finish up here. And if you would like some more information about our science program, All About Aerodynamics, all you have to do is go to their website, aaAerodynamics.com, or you can find the information that you need to contact me in the bio on the Instagram account. And you can find out how to bring All About Aerodynamics and this fun, exciting science program to your students, your school, your special event. And there are options to fit every time frame and every group of students. So that is that. We've had some races, had some fun, and now I've got some work to do cataloging these cars that are new entrants into the All About Aerodynamics at the Track Live fleet. So for All About Aerodynamics and At The Track Live, I am Coach James, and until next week, I'll see you at the races.